Hey, welcome to this episode of I Fight What You Fear with Richard Vega. And today I have my guest, and I have the honor. He is my personal Texas Senate. He has represented us well. He's gotten a lot of things passed. He's a young and upcoming force in the state of Texas. I personally believe, I don't know what his future aspirations are, but I will tell you that he has been fighting for our conservative beliefs and values all the way at the state capitol and in our own communities. My Senator Mays Middleton, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pastor Vega.
Thank you
for having me today.
I'm glad we're able to do this.
This is great. This session, we had a lot of victories. I saw you up in Austin a lot testifying for a bunch of the legislation that really advances our religious liberties and faith, family, and freedom, like the chaplain's bill and also the Save Women's Sports Act, and then also the Prayer Public School bill, which we didn't quite get done, but we got a long way down the road and hopefully get it passed next session. But I've got 4 kids. My wife Macy and I are blessed with 3 boys and a little girl that's 2 years old.
It's awesome.
That's our daily reminder of what we're fighting for here. That next generation, and providing that equality of opportunity and making sure that they have a fair shot, which that's what the Save Women's Sports is about. It's just fairness, and that's one of the bills that I know was a top priority of yours.
Yeah.
You came up twice, I think, to Austin this session to go fight for it, and we got it over the finish line.
That's awesome.
And got it passed into law.
It's a big deal. And so those bills that you mentioned, you authored or co-authored some, or did you author?
Authored all 3 of those.
Authored all 3?
I did not author the school choice bill that ended up passing the Senate. I did file a school choice bill that was the universal school choice bill, but I know we want to talk about that a little bit later in this program.
Right. So the women's at the collegiate level, for those of those don't know, last year we had the Save the Girl Sports, where again I went up there and testified multiple times on that. I was able to take my daughter and a whole bunch of people with me, but basically it was the transgenders, men trying to say that they're women or girls and competing in girl sports. And as we know, it's all across America, and it's just crazy on really what's going on at that level. And we were able to get it passed on the lower levels last year, and then you come around this year and backdoor at a collegiate level. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I heard that you were going at the collegiate level, my first thought was, that's massive, right? Because these schools got lots of money to put up a fight if they wanted to, and all these other things, and then obviously with all the movement of the transgender movement, and you've seen it more than I have.
Yeah, like the NCAA, had policies that were against making sure that only women play women's sports. They were allowing men to unfairly compete against women. And as we know, God only made 2 sexes, male and female.
Yep.
And look, you can't have fair competition when women are forced to compete against biological men. And that's what was happening. Unfortunately, and victory was being stolen. They were losing athletic scholarships. They were losing hard-earned spots on teams, athletic records. I know you heard from Riley Gaines, who's one of the biggest forces in this movement to make sure that there's fairness in women's sports. And just to kind of show you what we're up against, the other day we had a ceremonial bill signing in Denton at Texas Women's University, and the bill's going into effect here really soon, actually on September the 1st, but there was a huge protest outside. And people had brought their kids. We had collegiate female athletes there, and on the way out, when we're walking out, people were spitting on us. They were yelling at us. They were throwing water on us. They were throwing glass bottles at children walking out. So that shows you what the opposition really is in this. And it's really disturbing, because this bill is about one simple thing: fairness. That's it. It's about fairness.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but one of the trips I made at the Capitol, we went up there for the gender modification bill, and we were there just in support of it, right? We weren't to testify. We were just going to sit up there and just be in support of the bill. And I took my interns here from our church, and I had them bring their guitar and just so we could hang out and sing and whatever. And we went right in the middle of the tundra. The tundra?
Rotunda.
Rotunda.
Yeah, right there in the middle.
And I had them sing, and we said, let's just sing. And we got surrounded, and they started spitting on us. They started throwing stuff at us. And later on that day, a bunch of them got arrested. The DPS officers, we stayed there for an hour. And I mean, they mobbed around us, right? And the DPS officer came over there and he said, I know you got a plan to get out of here. And I said, yes, sir, I'm going to go east. And he said, okay. How I said east, I don't know. It just sounded cool at the time. And, you know, it's a circle. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. Where is east, right? And you're in a building. But, and he's like, I got you. He says, I'll make a hole for you when you're ready. I said, okay. And by the time we really looked up, I mean, they were in our faces, spitting on us, yelling, screaming. I couldn't hear, you know, from the guy next to me singing. Finally, I took my guys and I said, all right, let's get out of here. It's getting, there's hundreds of them that were in opposition of us. But, I mean, we have the right to sing. I mean, we have the right to pray and at the Capitol and all those other things. They were singing too. But yes, they didn't like what we were doing. And I say all that because, you know, what you experienced just yesterday, the other side in the belief system, like, they're just attacking us at this point for standing for what's right and for what's fair. Because my daughter, I have 2 daughters, well, I have 3 daughters, but my daughter plays at a high school level volleyball. She is an A student. Her lowest grade last year was a 98.
Wow.
A 98.
Wow. A lot smarter than me.
She wants to go to Baylor, so and she'll go to Baylor, do those things. And she plays volleyball. She's very competitive. And then my other daughter's 10. She was following her sister's footsteps. And, you know, you think, my heart goes out to these girls that have made great grades, that are looking to go to the next level, and they lose a scholarship because of a boy who's genetically built different, more athletic, can, you know, good out of science, their muscles different, they can breathe in more air. I mean, you name it, they're stronger, they can jump higher. I mean, it just goes on. And it's sad that you had to author a bill to fight this at a level where you would think that we're out of questioning if we're a man or a female at that level.
You know, and generations of women have fought for the opportunity to compete, and that is being taken away when you allow a man to unfairly compete against these female athletes at this very high collegiate level. You know, and we saw this session where there was a lot of violence threatened, like you mentioned the bill earlier, the gender modification ban, which bans child gender mutilation. You know, when that bill was passing in the House, there was violence in the House gallery. 2 state troopers were assaulted. Of course, people were charged, and what does the Travis County DA do? Well, prosecute, right? And then I was sitting in committee in the State Affairs Committee on the bill that prohibits sexualized drag performances in front of children, protects children from that, which I think almost everyone can agree with. And they got violent with the House Sergeant at Arms, someone testifying against that bill, unfortunately. And, you know, you see that again and again. And that's Exhibit A of why it's so important to stand up for our kids. And we really did that in a big way this session, and stood up for what's right for the next generation. Make sure they're not exposed to things that aren't appropriate for them, that they have a fair chance, that they're not gender mutilated, that our children are protected. You know, and that's one of the best things the state of Texas can do, is protect that next generation and make sure, you know, that they're safe. And we did that in a big way this session. And we talk about the prayer circle too. You know, that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to a lot of legislators there, that intercession, those prayers of intercession, because above the House dais and the Senate dais, right above it, it says, "In God we trust." And everything we do has to be built on His foundation.
That's right.
Of "In God we trust." So that's why that's so important for people to come up and pray over us and testify for these bills that we have to get done for the next generation. We have to do these. And I can't tell you how much it meant to see you And then so many groups of pastors come up this session to support legislation like the Save Women's Sport Act and the ban on child gender mutilation and the chaplain's bill and the parent public school bill and also the educational choice bill, which is, the money to follow the child.
Absolutely. Which is another big bill that you're part of. And, it wasn't just me. You invited me some of those times, and I look at it as an honor, because when you reach out, I look at it as, okay, my personal senator is reaching out for help. It's my job to go and support you because you're doing what you need to do for us, and I need to be there to back you up, right? And I hope my whole community would feel the same way, because it's important that we do go out there and support our legislators, and give them, like you said, the prayer. I can't imagine the spiritual warfare that you go through during session and your family, and because you're fighting, and I don't want to get too churchy, but in the demonic realm, Ephesians 6 is very clear what we fight against, right? The principalities of darkness and the rulers, and you're at the highest tier. Like, you're voting on things for not just me in our area, like you're doing it for the whole entire state. You're making a decision for millions and millions and millions of people, and the other side doesn't want that to happen, right? And we can just say, people that love God and people that hate God, and don't stand according to what His righteous values are, according to what He's given us in Scripture. And I just can't imagine what you go through. And so I hope that our listeners pray, because we did, and we prayed for you a ton, and your colleagues, because we understood spiritual warfare. And we understand that it can happen in the house. I mean, one day you might not be fighting with your wife for a year, and then all of a sudden you're fighting over something so stupid, and then it could throw you off, or all these little things. And so it was an honor to be a part of this, and you to go out there and be able to testify. But thank you so much for standing up for all the women across this great state. And I'll tell you, when you look at Texas and you've seen, here's the truth. You've been in office for how long?
Not that long. So I've been in the Senate just since this January, but the House was in the Texas House for 2 sessions. 2 sessions. So I got sworn in January of 2019.
So from 2019 to today, we've seen a shift in Texas. And I say shift because of the pandemic and cost of living in other areas of the country, and we've seen an influx of people coming to our state. Now, whether that's good or bad, we don't know yet, right? But I'll tell you, when I drive into Austin, and I drive downtown Austin, when I see porta potties out there, and I see shower stations, and I see all these water stations for the homeless in such a beautiful downtown Austin, it really just saddens my heart that they would let their city go to that. And in 2019, was it like that?
Travis County, the joke is that Austin is a short drive for Texas. This is a county that literally voted no on the constitutional amendment to say that, yes, government can close churches, right? We all passed that a couple years ago. It was on the ballot to say government should never be able to close churches, right? We all agree, almost everyone agrees with that. Of course, Travis County votes no. And then, like the ban on the state income tax, Travis County was the only county that voted no. They want a state income tax. So, this is, it's very different from the rest of Texas, I'll tell you that. But, and that's part of the, what you see too in committee a lot of times, where it's not a real picture. When you have 800 registered against a bill, well, most of them, from Austin, a lot of times. The rest of Texas doesn't really agree with that position that you see in Travis County, where it's one of the most liberal counties in this state. But, it goes back to earlier, where the prayer in the rotunda, that intercession where, we cannot separate God from government. And that is what the left is trying to do. This is a nation that was founded with God in government.
That's
and
right.
We need to fight to make sure that we have prayer in public schools.
That's right.
That we have chaplains in our public schools, that our children have this opportunity to exercise in their free exercise clause their faith, and families do as well, and make sure we protect those religious liberties and stand up for them in a big way. And, you know, unfortunately, the left is fighting back. I got a letter of opposition from the American Atheists, which was Madeline Murray O'Hara's group, and they were the group that sued to get prayer out of public school in 1961. It's kind of a badge of honor that, you know, they're opposing my bills. So got that letter. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm feeling confident that we're going to win because we have the conviction of our faith here. And, you know, this is one of the things that you see in Austin where these groups challenge every single time there's a religious liberties bill. And they go all in and have a huge legal team. But we've had a lot of victories.
You've had a lot of victories. So and one of the bills that we also got passed, or I say we because I feel like I was a part of it, but you authored it, was the chaplains bill. And that was allow chaplains to be able to come alongside of school counselors through the mental health, from my understanding, with the funding, and be able to come into schools and help in areas that are greatly needed. Do you want to talk about that?
You know, chaplains represent God in government, and we've used them for many years in the military, with our first responders, with police forces and fire departments. And for the same reasons that those chaplains work so well in those traumatic situations with our first responders and armed services, those are the same reasons they're going to work well in our public schools. And we're giving our ISDs the opportunity now to hire chaplains. We're actually the first state to do that. Texas is number one.
Congratulations.
So this was a huge victory for religious liberties this session. We got that bill done. It's going into effect on September the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And every ISD, so every school district's going to have to vote by March 1st whether or not to allow chaplains in their school district. And I sure hope they all vote yes. We know that they all won't, but you know, that's where it's on us to advocate for that position and hope that they do vote yes, allow chaplains and the opportunity to have chaplains serve in their school districts. That'll provide an excellent tool because, you know, chaplains, they represent God in government, and that's a tool that we don't have right now that I think we need, and it will add a lot. And of course, it doesn't replace counselors. Counselors serve a very important role. This is an addition to counselors in our public schools. So I think it's a very important tool to have.
Why are you so strong on religious liberties?
Well, this is what our country was founded on. America, the founders, except for a couple of deists, were Christian.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, every time that I vote, I see that in God we trust above the dice. It's above all other things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a Bible in every single desk to remind us what this nation was founded on and what our values have to be, and that conviction has to be in order to be faithful to them. So, you know, at the end of the day, religious liberties have been eroded away. We've had the left for years challenge that, and they've really subverted what is the Establishment Clause. And the Establishment Clause only means that a particular sect of religion can't become the government, such as the Church of England couldn't become the government. That's what we're getting away from. But they've changed that. They flipped that. And now they say it's saying separation of church and state, right? And that's what they keep saying. And it's a made-up doctrine. It is. So the Establishment Clause just says that a particular sect can't become the government. Well, now they're saying separation of God from government is what they wrote. There can be no religion, there can be no reference to God, there can be no nothing in government. And that is completely false. That is a made-up doctrine. It was actually in one letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptists, and it was sort of said in the vernacular. So it's not a real doctrine, and our Supreme Court has upheld that in the Kennedy case as well. You know,
it's funny you said that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. But you know, you're obviously clearly you're a godly man. Satan has done a good job to grab that little itty bitty letter that he wrote to the Danbury Baptist and to put separation of the church and state when they were trying to be the Church of the United States is what they were trying to do. But they've taken that piece and so many pastors, they really believe that there's a separation of church and state when there was never a separation of church and state as far as working together, being in. Men of God such as yourself have been in positions like yours before you, right? Even all the way as the president. And it's important for us to elect men and women of God to be able to get into these seats, to defend our religious freedoms and be able to stand for righteousness. Not all your bills are religious freedoms, but they have a way in there that pretty much, yeah, it is, you know? And it's important that I believe that a lot of pastors, we got to start waking up. And we got to really start getting educated on this, because government touches all areas of influence, from education, from music industries. I mean, we just name it. Government touches it all.
It does.
And if we don't have godly men and women in there, Lord help us, right? If we don't have the mazes in there to say there's got to be fairness in sports. I mean, women have fought for the right to vote in this country, right? They have fought to have jobs in this country.
Title IX. Fought hard for Title IX in 1972.
Yep.
And that's what's being eroded away.
And now they're having they fought to have sports. They're and now they're being challenged by men, clearly, and you guys fought that. But like, enough's got to be enough. And I feel like pastors, we have congregations, right? Whether it's 30 people or 1,000 people on a Sunday morning, you have an audience of influence. And I hope that pastors would start reaching out to their legislators and saying, how can I help you and serve you? And get to know them and what they believe, and then support what's going on. Because if you're able to, I'll give you an example. We went up to, in January, we went up to the Capitol for Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And I got to partner. Yeah, I came by your office, and you came and spent time with us, and I know that was so unexpected, but you still took the time to say hi to us, so thank you, because I know that was very unexpected, and I wasn't on the list, but you still took the time to say hi to us, and that means a lot. And I know that, and I told everybody there, but I partnered with the group here, and we were able to take 86 people to the Capitol. 86. Now I get it. Some people might not have that network. They might not have that. If you take 2, or you just show up yourself, that right there is so important, to come alongside and say, hey, Senator, hey, Representative, I'm here to support you. I'm here, and we'll lobby. And actually you said, hey, can you go knock on some doors and do this? And we did. We're like, what do you need? Let's go talk. And we, it was funny. We knocked on a lot of liberal doors. Like, that's what I wanted to do, right? Conservative guys are probably going to partner with you, right, for the most part. But if we can educate them on who we are and why we believe in Senator Mays' bill and what it represents, then maybe they'll swing that way, or that a lot of them didn't even know what it really meant on some of those bills that we were up there for. So it's just very important. I hope that pastors, if they're listening, or ministers, or just an individual who just believes and has never got involved in government, says, you know what, I'm going to step out of the box and contact my legislator, and I'm going to get involved in this, because you guys need us.
We do, and it makes a huge difference, because we see these paid lobbyists up in Austin all the time, and when someone is there because they believe in it, because that bill that they're advocating for, they believe in it in their heart, and they're there for free, by the way. They're not paid to be there.
Right.
It means so much more, even to those that don't agree with you on the committee, and even to legislators that may not agree with you. It means a lot more. And maybe you do sway a few. Maybe not that session, but maybe the next or the next one. So I think that's really underestimated, how important that is in this process, because the committees, they're just loaded up all the time on paid lobbyists that live and work in Austin. And it won't surprise you that those lobbyists that live and work in Austin tend to have Austin based values.
Right. Right.
So, which is not this community's, that's for sure. So it's also so welcome, and we're so excited to see people from various communities throughout the state come support legislation they believe in, instead of them little Austin lobby and Austin crowd that shows up.
Well, what's next on your agenda?
Well, so the next thing that we've got legislative-wise is incredibly important is educational choice. That's in October, and that is money follow the child, school choice. I've always been a huge advocate for that, because what that really is about parental rights. And what we're saying with school choice is we trust the moms and dads of our community to make their own best decisions for their own children. And that's really all it's about. No one's being forced to do anything. We're just putting tools on the table for families that really don't have those tools right now, because it's mainly low-income families that are going to see the most benefit from educational choice. And we're placing those tools on the table. They don't have to use them. Most are going to remain in their public school. They're very happy with their traditional public school, but it's there, and they can choose to use it. So I think that's really important for the next generation. That's that equality of opportunity that this country was founded on. We're not founded on equality of outcome. Right. That's what you hear from the left, this equity and when words are used like that, that means everyone's going to be forced to be equal outcome. No, that's not what this country is founded. We're founded on equality of opportunity. And one of the best ways to provide that equality of opportunity is a great education. And you know what? You need a lot of different ways to achieve that, because every child is different. I got 4 kids. Yeah. Each one of them's totally different. 3 boys, 9, 5, and a 2-year-old girl. And, they all learn differently. They all need different options. And, educational choice will be especially beneficial to our special needs kids, because one of the approved expenditures for that is tutoring. Of course, most would probably use private school tuition, but educational therapies as well, or even community college classes, online classes. There are all these tools that we want to put on the table for these kids. We just need to make sure he pass this bill in October, the school choice bill, to get that done and make sure that every child in the state has educational options.
It dawned on me when we're sitting here. It's like, you come up with these bills that really affect my community, and I say my community within this region of the church, because it's a very low income community. It's a lot heavy minorities, mainly Latinos, and then we got some Black population, and then Vietnamese is really high in our population here as well, and then Anglos. But for it just wowed me, and I'll just be honest with you, because you really do care, and you're thinking about my community, and you're thinking about, and so many legislators don't, right? They talk the game, but I don't see the bills. They talk the game, and yet I don't see the action behind it, right? And so, in a man in my position, I get a lot of people that call and want to come to the church when it's election time, right? They want to come and say hi, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, the highs are great, but what are you doing? Like, where's the action that you care? Where's the action that you're thinking about others besides your own, your own class, some per se, whether it's middle class or upper class, whatever it is, to reach down to the lowers and say, hey, we're thinking about you and we want you to thrive. And this bill that you're talking about with the school choice is that exactly. It's huge, dude.
It's huge. It is probably the biggest undone thing we've got in this state, where, about 30 states have school choice at this point, and Texas, sadly, is really not one. Of course, we have charter schools, but we don't have that unbundled ESA that really gives all these options to parents, like private school choice or education therapies I talked about earlier. We don't have that in Texas, and we need to make sure we provide this to families. And like you said, with the politicians, unfortunately, when someone says they believe in something but don't put it into action, it's the same as not believing in it at all.
That's
right?
good.
you have to put your values into action. And that's what you were doing by coming up this session to support things like this. So that's what I hope others do, other pastors do, other members of the community do as well. But it's the same thing, for elected officials. They better put what they believe in into action. Otherwise, it's the same as not believing it at all, because we're judged by our actions in politics, not our intentions.
That's right.
So we need to take action.
That's good. And just a real quick, brief summary over the education bill. This is, it's $8,000 that will follow a student.
That's right.
And so the parent will get the choice of, if you live in a community that the public school system is really run down. Let's take Houston, for example, got taken over by the state. But you have the means to get your child to a private school, or whatever other school you choose to do as a parent. That $8,000 can go towards the tuition of a private school to put your kid to have a better education.
That's right. And there's a technology allotment and a transportation allotment. So we realize that
I didn't know that.
There may be you have to drive and put miles on your car, or figure out a way to get your child to a private school that may not be quite as close. So there's a transportation allotment on there. There's also the technology allotment for a laptop or a Chromebook, or something that your child would need, for this, wherever they decide to go. So
that's awesome.
Those are really important, because that helps our low-income families go to these options and make sure that they can fully participate and learn the way that at a particular school attended. So and those are two important aspects that I don't think are talked about a lot. But it's just another way to provide opportunity, what it is. This is $8,000 is a very meaningful amount, because your average private school tuition in the state of Texas is a little less than $9,000. And your average Catholic private school tuition is less than that. So obviously, probably the biggest participants of this program are going to be most likely Hispanic parents sending their children to private Catholics.
Is that $8,000 a year?
Per year. Yeah.
Oh, per year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you knew this or not, but at our church, we have a bus route that stops in front of our church, and we have a private Christian school at our church. So when you're speaking this in my community, like the bus literally stops in front of our church, the city bus, Metro. And we have a private school right here.
Right there.
So it's just when you're talking about the transportation and all this being able to be available for the community, for parents, it might not, of course it's not going to fit everybody, but me just sitting here and listening to this for the first time for that portion, I was like, man, the bus stops in front of the church, and we have a private school at our church. Like this helps so many families that want to take that opportunity, because, and I love what you just said a minute ago, you talked about this land of opportunity, because it is, and I'll be just say it, I'm so glad they did away with affirmative action. We, in our age, I'm 43, I've never been denied to go to any school, right? And I can talk about a college, or I can get any education that I want to, as long as I work hard enough. Right, my kids will be able to do the same thing. They'll be able to go to any school. You went to UT, I think, right?
Yeah.
So my brother went to UT, right? He was valedictorian here in Houston, and he went to UT.
My mom's side are all Aggies.
Oh man, that's good. Those are good holiday times, I guess.
Mixed family, yeah. And my wife, all the in-laws, nearly all of them went to Tech. So.
Oh really?
Yeah,
great Raiders. Yeah. So and then my in-laws, are all from Columbia. My father-in-law, mother-in-law, cousins, and everybody's from Columbia. But they've came to the land of opportunity, and they're all citizens now. And they believed in our citizenship here in America. And they're entrepreneurs, and they came to bring a better life. And a lot of people, not just Latinos, we talk about Haitian, Chinese, whatever that is, just Americans, non-Americans, that come here for the opportunity because they want to give their families a better life. This right here helps so many people to give them that jump start, because so their kids can get that next level education, to be able to live the American dream, because the opportunities here, if you feel like you're getting held back because of your color or because you're a female or a male, like and females have been going through it, don't get me wrong, but definitely color, you're so far more wrong than whatever. And I there's so many people in management positions of color, from Latinos and minorities, than probably we've ever seen in this country. And to say we're getting held back, you're out of your mind. We're just as educated as the next man, and I think it's great that we moved in a direction to where each man can be judged on his merits and what he's been able to produce, as it should. Don't bring me because of the color of my skin, right? Bring me because I'm really valued, and the work that I've put in, and the things that I've stood for, and what I'm able to accomplish, not because, oh, well, we need a brown guy in the room. You know, come on. But anyways, I know I got far off that little rant, but I didn't know that transportation part.
And it's that opportunity, you know, that this country is really founded on. You know, and what makes me upset is you have politicians saying they don't trust the moms and dads of their community to decide what's best for their child. Because that's what they're saying when they're against educational choice. They don't trust the moms and dads. And that's not what this country is founded on. You know, we're giving tools and a chance to families that don't have that now, solely because they can't afford it. And that's why educational choice is so important. The money's already being spent, by the way. So we're keeping our public schools fully funded. You know, when I tell you anything away from ISDs, this is on top of that. So it's state sales tax surplus money primarily, and it's about $500 million is the first allotment for this educational choice program. If we'll pass it, I hope we do. And then, of course, hopefully in the future it'll be more than that.
I love it. Just a small tidbit on that. I told you my brother, he went to UT. He was just an intelligent guy, but the school that he went to is called Middleton High School here in Houston, in Southeast area, HISD school, but he worked hard. But if he had that opportunity to go to a different school, would he have thrived more? He didn't graduate UT, but I believe he would have. And not that he didn't thrive academically. That was the first time that he really got outside of the house and got caught up in girls. Let's just be honest. He got caught up in girls is what he did, and so he got sidetracked. But I still believe, like, there's a lot of people like my brother that are brothers. My other brother, same thing, same situation. Go to these schools like HISD, that if they had the opportunity to go to a school that actually challenges them mentally for the education level, that they're able to go at another level and really produce what they can do, and they'll tell them what they can contribute to our society.
And look, every child is unique and different, and it's about finding an education that fits a child's unique educational needs, really is what that's about. And teachers will incredibly benefit as well too, because I've talked to a lot of retired and current public school teachers that have always dreamed of starting a school. And problem is they can't, right? Because either the community can't afford the tuition, or they can't. It's not sustainable through private donation, because we don't have money for all the child's school choice right now, but this would provide that opportunity. And I think you're going to see a lot of schools spring up in a school choice program that aren't there right now because of that innovation. And finally, a lot of teachers will be able to achieve their dream and open their own school.
You're spot on, man. That's y'all put a lot of thought through this whole process. My wife is an educator, and so I get in these circles of teachers that want to open their own schools, but they don't have the resources, the funding, all those things that fall in. And let's be honest, our teachers are educated. They got bachelor's degrees. Some of them got master's and doctor's degrees. these are very educated women and men that have ambition and dreams of, opening up their own school to educate kids at whatever level they feel that they can do. And I believe in them. Do you have anything you'd like to share with anybody before we end?
Well, I just appreciate you having me on today, and thank you for all you do to advocate for your Christian values, conservative values, and also coming up to Austin to make sure that legislation that reflects those values that I know you and I share see their way into law. It means a lot. I just want to thank you for all you've done to advocate for those and take time to organize and come to Austin and make your voice heard and the community's voice heard as well, because what we're hearing in Austin, we know is not a lot of times what a community believes, because Austin's that little blue bubble in the Red Sea, so it really means a lot to me, and I just want to thank you for all you do, Pastor Vega.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome, and it's truly been an honor to serve alongside of you, and know that I can personally say that you represent me, and I live in your area, and that you are truly a man that's fighting for our rights. So thank you at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to I Fight What You Fear. Please reach out to your local legislator. If you want to get in contact with Senator Mays Middleton, reach out to his office in Austin, Texas. He'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you and get you pointed in the right direction. Remember to stay tuned and continue to follow us. I hope you are encouraged, empowered, and go out and do something great, because you are worth it and your community is worth it. God bless you.
Thank you.